The alien market was loud, filled with voices that shouted, bargained, and laughed. Bright lights flashed over cages lined up like trophies. Inside those cages were beings of many races, some tall, some strong, some with strange glowing eyes. They were shown to buyers like objects, not like living souls. In the center of the platform, the guards dragged a small figure. It was a girl, thin and trembling. Her skin was pale, her eyes tired, and her body broken in a way that made the crowd roar with cruel laughter. She had no legs, only stumps where her lower body should have been. The guards shoved her hard against the bars, making her fall forward. "Worthless," one alien shouted. "She cannot walk. She cannot fight," another voice added. "Not even good for breeding stock. Throw her away." The auctioneer raised his hands, trying to control the noise. He pointed at her with a sharp stick like she was just a product. "Here is one of rare kind, weak but exotic. You will not find another, but look at her. She has no legs. Who will bid for this broken creature?" The crowd laughed louder. Some spat at the cage. Others shouted cruel jokes, calling her trash, failure, and waste of space. The girl lowered her head, her ears shaking, her heart pounded fast. She wanted to disappear. She had lived her whole life hearing these words. Every moment reminded her she was less than nothing. But in the back of the market, one figure stood still. It was a human man, taller than most aliens. His face was shadowed under his hood. He did not laugh. He did not mock. He simply watched. His eyes followed the girl's trembling hands as she tried to cover herself. His jaw tightened, but he said, "Nothing." The auctioneer slammed the gavel, starting price 5 credits. Silence. No one raised a hand. The auctioneer tried again. 3 credits, still silence. The crowd laughed. "Even free, she's too costly," they said. "Not worth the space she takes." The girl closed her eyes. She knew what would happen next when no one bought a being. The guards took them outside. She had seen it before. A sharp sound, a scream, and then silence forever. She was ready to end her useless life. But just before the gavel fell again, a deep voice cut through the hall, calm, steady, but strong. "I will take her." The market froze. All heads turned toward the human man. His hood slipped slightly, showing his sharp eyes. His hand rested on the platform. His other hand dropped a bag of coins heavier than anyone expected. The auctioneer's eyes widened. The crowd gasped. "Are you blind, human?" One alien shouted. "She has no legs? She cannot breed? Why waste your money?" Another sneered. "Unless you collect trash?" But the man did not answer them. He stepped closer, his boots echoing against the metal floor. He looked directly at the girl, who stared back with wide, wet eyes for a moment. She thought he might be mocking her too, but his gaze was not cruel. It was firm, steady, almost soft. "I said I will take her," the human repeated. His voice carried no doubt. The auctioneer hesitated, then slammed the gavel. "Sold." The guards unlocked the cage. They pushed the girl out roughly. She fell forward, her hands scraping the ground, but before she could hit hard, the man's arms caught her. He lifted her gently, as if she weighed nothing. The crowd murmured in confusion. Some laughed. Others whispered, "When?" The girl trembled in his arms. Her voice cracked like broken glass. "Why? Why me? I am nothing." The man did not answer immediately. He pulled his cloak from his shoulders and wrapped it around her small body. He looked at her, his eyes dark and unreadable. Then, in a quiet voice only she could hear, he whispered, "You are not nothing. Not anymore." Her heart skipped. She did not understand, but her chest ached with strange heat. For the first time in her life, someone had not called her trash. For the first time, someone's arms felt safe. The crowd shouted again, some angry, some mocking. "She will not walk. She will only die on you, human. You are a fool, wasting your life on broken flesh." But the man ignored them. He turned and began to walk away, carrying the girl as if she belonged with him. His steps were steady, and his cloak hid her from the cruel stares of the market. The girl held onto his chest weakly. Her mind was filled with questions she could not ask.
Why does human save her?
Why did he pay more than her life was worth? Why did he say she was not nothing? Outside, the cold wind touched her face. She lifted her head slightly, staring at the stars above the alien city. For the first time, she wondered if her life had changed. For the first time, she felt a spark of something she had never known before. hope. And yet, deep in the shadows, unseen by them both, eyes were watching. The facility guards did not like losing even worthless stock, and the galaxy was never kind to the weak. The ship drifted quietly through the black of space. Engines hummed, lights flickered on the panels. Inside, Lyra sat still on the padded seat. Her small hands clutched the cloak he had wrapped around her. Her new name still echoed in her mind. She had never imagined someone would give her a name, let alone treat her like she mattered. But when she looked down at herself, at the emptiness where her legs should have been, shame hit her again. Her throat closed. She turned her face away so he would not see her tears. She whispered, "You made a mistake, human. I cannot walk. I cannot help you. I am only a burden." The man did not turn. He sat at the controls, eyes fixed on the endless stars. His jaw tightened. He said nothing for a long time. Then, in a low voice, he answered, "You are not a mistake, Lyra." His words were simple, but they carried a weight she did not understand. She wanted to believe him, but doubt was louder. All her life she had been told she was useless, unworthy. The world had beaten that truth into her bones. Now, one man's words felt like a fragile flame against a storm. She hugged herself tighter, afraid that flame would vanish. Hours passed, and finally the ship slowed. Outside the window, a small planet appeared. Its surface shimmered with clouds of silver and oceans of deep blue. As they descended, green forests and wide plains stretched below. The human guided the ship down to a hidden valley. A small shelter stood there, built of metal and stone. When the doors opened, fresh air rushed in, carrying the smell of trees and rain. Lyra breathed deeply. It was the first time in her life she tasted air that wasn't heavy with smoke and filth. She closed her eyes, feeling something like peace. The man carried her out, step by step, and set her inside the shelter. It was simple but strong. Lights glowed softly. Machines lined the walls. At the center stood a table filled with tools, wires, and pieces of strange, shining metal. Lyra tilted her head, curiosity shining in her eyes. "What is this place?" she asked. The man looked at her and finally answered, "A workshop, a place where I build what others cannot." He walked to one of the tables and lifted something wrapped in cloth. When he unrolled it, Lyra gasped. Inside were two delicate frames shaped like legs, crafted from silver metal and glowing faint blue at the joints. They looked alive, almost breathing. Her voice broke. "Legs?" The man nodded. His eyes softened for the first time. "I made them long ago for someone I loved, but she never had the chance to wear them." His voice cracked, but he quickly hid it. He carried the legs carefully, setting them beside her. "Now they will be yours." Lyra's heart pounded. She could not breathe. She stared at the shining gift in disbelief. "For me," she whispered. "But why?" The man knelt before her. His eyes met hers. "Because you deserve to stand." Her vision blurred with tears. She shook her head. "No one has ever thought I deserved anything." He reached out and gently touched her trembling hands. "Then let this be the first." He began to work, his hands steady as he attached the frames. Wires and soft lights hummed, connecting to her body. Lyra cried out in shock as warmth spread through her. Her nerves tingled, her muscles felt alive for the first time. "Breathe," he told her gently. "Trust them. They are part of you now." She obeyed, taking slow breaths. When he tightened the last connection, he stood back. "Try," he said. Lyra stared down at the shining legs. Her body shook. Fear filled her chest. What if she failed? What if she fell? She looked up at him, his face calm, his eyes steady. For a moment, she borrowed strength from his gaze. Slowly, she pushed her hands against the table. Her new legs shifted, joints glowing. With a cry, she rose, unsteady but upright. Her chest heaved, her eyes widened. She was standing. Tears streamed down her face. Standing, she whispered. Her voice broke, laughter and sobs mixing together. She took a shaky step, then another. The floor echoed with sounds she had never made before. The sound of feet, her feet. The man watched silently, his lips curved in the faintest smile, but behind his eyes, a shadow of sadness flickered. Lyra did not see it. She was too lost in the miracle of her first steps. She spun clumsily, almost falling, but she caught herself. "I can walk! I can walk!" she cried. Her laughter filled the room, echoing against the metal walls. She stumbled forward and grabbed his hand, holding it tight. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know why you did this, but I will never forget. The man said nothing, but for a moment his grip tightened, as if her words touched a place in him he had kept locked away. Outside, the night fell over the valley. Stars glowed in the sky, but beyond the hills, lights flickered, shadows moved, ships descended quietly. Someone had followed. Someone was watching. The night sky stretched wide above the valley. Silver stars glimmered. The air smelled fresh with rain and forest. Inside the small shelter, Lyra still stood on her new legs. Her hands shook. Her chest rose and fell fast. She could not stop staring at her feet as if they were a dream that might fade away. The human watched her quietly, leaning against the table, his arms folded, his eyes following her every move. He did not smile often, but tonight there was a faint softness on his face. He had given her something more than legs. He had given her a chance at life. Lyra's laughter echoed through the room, a sound she had never made before. She stumbled at first, nearly falling, but she caught herself. Each step was clumsy but filled with fire. She lifted her arms as if dancing, spinning in circles, her silver legs glowing faintly with blue light. I can run, she cried. I can dance. Her voice broke into giggles, tears streaming down her cheeks. The man stayed silent, but inside, his chest ached. He remembered another face, another voice that had once laughed in a similar way. His heart twisted, but he forced the memory down. This moment belonged to Lyra, not his ghosts. Lyra stopped suddenly, breathing hard. She looked at him, her eyes bright like stars. You gave me more than legs, she whispered. You gave me freedom. He turned his face away. His voice was steady but low. Freedom is heavy, Lyra. Can you carry it? She frowned at his words, not fully understanding. But before she could ask, her stomach growled loudly. She froze, embarrassed. He raised an eyebrow, then walked to a storage box. He returned with a small package, opening it to reveal simple food. She hesitated as he placed it before her. All her life she'd been fed like an animal, scraps thrown into a corner. Now he handed her food gently, like she was someone worthy of respect. She lifted it slowly, her hands trembling. She whispered, No one has ever given me food like this. He sat across from her, his eyes steady. Then this will be the first of many meals? Her throat tightened. She ate slowly, each bite tasting like more than food. It tasted like dignity, like belonging. After the meal, she looked at him with a shy smile.
You gave me legs. You gave me a name. You gave me food. She lowered her gaze, her voice soft. What else will you give me? Human?
He paused, his jaw tightening, his eyes darkened with a shadow she could not read. He whispered, That depends on what you choose to take. She tilted her head, confused. She wanted to ask, but his expression told her it was not the time. Instead, she stood again, walking slowly, testing her balance. She reached the door of the shelter and opened it. The cold night air brushed against her skin. She stepped outside, barefoot on the grass. Her eyes widened. The valley stretched before her, silver streams of water running through green fields. The wind kissed her face. She lifted her arms and spun, laughing again. Her first dance of freedom was not inside a cage, but under the open sky. The man stepped outside too, watching from the doorway. His eyes followed her with caution, as if waiting for something. Lyra ran clumsily across the field, falling once, then rising again. She turned to him and shouted, Look, I'm alive. Her voice carried into the night. For the first time, she felt like more than broken flesh. For the first time, she felt human. But deep in the forest, hidden eyes watched. Shadows moved between trees. Lights flickered quietly. Unmarked ships rested beyond the hills. Hunters had followed the human's trail. Their orders were simple: return the girl, dead or alive. Inside the valley, Lyra slowed down, her laughter fading as she noticed his serious face. She walked back to him, her steps more confident now. You look worried, she said softly. He hesitated, then placed a heavy hand on her shoulder. Freedom always comes with danger. They will come for you, Lyra. Her breath caught. Fear rushed back into her chest. But why? They said I was worthless. His voice hardened. Worthless things are not hunted. You are more than they told you. She stared at him, her heart pounding. His words felt like fire. both terrifying and warming, she whispered. Will you protect me? His jaw clenched. His eyes burned with promise. Yes, even if it costs me everything. The night grew colder. The stars above seemed sharper. Around them, the valley was quiet, but the silence was thin, like glass ready to shatter. Lyra clung to his cloak, her legs shaking not from weakness, but from the storm of fear and hope inside her. He guided her back inside, securing the doors. He checked his weapons, loading them carefully. His movements were practiced, like a man who had lived too long with danger. Lyra watched him, her chest tight. She asked, "Why do you fight for me? Why risk your life?" He looked at her for a long moment, his lips pressed into a thin line. Finally, he said, "Because once I failed to protect someone, I will not fail again." Lyra's heart ached. She saw pain in his eyes, old and deep. She wanted to ask more, but fear of breaking him held her back. Instead, she whispered, "Then I will stand beside you." Her words surprised him. For the first time, he let out a faint smile. "Good," he said simply. Outside, the hunters prepared their weapons. Inside, a broken girl with new legs stood ready beside a human who carried old scars. The valley was silent, but silence could not hide danger. The human's sharp ears caught the faint hum of engines in the distance. He tightened his grip on the weapon. Strapped to his side, his eyes narrowed as he scanned the night sky. Lyra stood close to him, her silver legs glowing faintly in the dark. Her breath quickened as she followed his gaze. "What is it?" she whispered. Her voice trembled, already fearing the answer. He did not turn to her. His voice was steady. "We are not alone." Lyra's chest tightened. She hugged herself, the memory of chains flashing back into her mind. For a moment, she felt the market again. The laughter, the cruelty, the way they spat at her for being worthless. Her knees shook, not from weakness of the legs he had given her, but from the weight of fear. From beyond the trees, lights flickered. Shadows moved. 3 dark ships lowered into the valley, their engines roaring like beasts. Dust rose into the air, covering the stars. Figures stepped out, tall aliens in black armor, their faces hidden by masks. Their weapons glowed red. One of them shouted across the field, his voice cold, human. "You have something that does not belong to you. Hand her over, and we will spare your life." Lyra froze. Her heart pounded. She looked up at the man. Her voice shook. "They came for me, but why?" They said I was worthless. The man finally turned to her. His eyes burned like fire. "Worthless things are not hunted, Lyra. They want you because you are more than you know." She gasped. Her head spun. More than she knew. What could that mean? The aliens raised their weapons. "This is your last chance, human. Give us the girl." The man stepped forward, his cloak blowing in the wind. His voice was calm but deadly. "She is not your property. She is not your slave, and she will not go with you." The soldiers laughed behind their masks. One snarled, "Then you will die with her." In a flash, red blasts lit the valley. The ground shook as energy bolts struck the earth. The man pulled Lyra behind him, raising his weapon and firing back. Blue sparks tore through the night. The battle had begun. Lyra crouched low, her hands covering her head. Fear crushed her chest. But then her silver legs hummed. Her body remembered the strength he had given her. She could run. She could fight. She was not the same broken girl from the cage. She forced herself to move, crawling toward the table where tools lay. Her fingers closed around a metal rod, heavy and sharp at the end. She rose slowly, her legs unsteady but alive. The man shouted without looking back, "Stay down, Lyra!" But she shook her head, her voice trembling yet fierce. "No, not anymore." She stumbled forward, swinging the rod at the nearest soldier who tried to flank him. The blow landed clumsily, but the surprise was enough. The alien stumbled, giving the man a chance to fire and bring him down. Lyra gasped, her chest heaving. She had done it. She had fought back. The man's eyes flickered to her for a moment. A hint of pride showed, but danger left no time for words. He turned and fired again, cutting through the attackers. More soldiers poured from the ships. Their voices filled the valley with threats. Lyra's heart screamed. She was just one girl. He was just one man. How could they survive this? She looked at him, his body moving like a warrior, each strike precise. Each step firm. He fought not like a mercenary, but like someone who had nothing left to lose. Her chest tightened. Why was he risking everything for her? As the battle raged, one soldier grabbed her from behind, dragging her back. She screamed, kicking wildly. Her new legs glowed, slamming against his armor with surprising force. The soldier stumbled. His grip breaking, she fell to the ground, rolling away. She rose again, panting. Her knees scraped, but she stood tall. She shouted to herself.
I am not nothing, not anymore.
The man heard her, his lips pressed tight, but his heart swelled. She was changing, becoming stronger before his eyes. But the fight was not over. The leader of the soldiers stepped forward, taller and darker than the rest. His mask gleamed under the moonlight. His voice was filled with venom. Human, you cannot protect her forever. She belongs to us, and if you stand in the way, you will fall with her. The man raised his weapon, his voice cut like steel. Then I will fall standing. The valley burned with light as the clash grew harsher. Lyra's hands shook as she gripped the metal rod tighter. Her legs ached but refused to stop. She looked at the human, his back strong, his body bleeding but unbroken, and she felt something she never thought she could feel: courage. Her past was here, hunting her, but for the first time she was not alone. For the first time, she had someone willing to stand between her and the darkness. And she, too, would fight. The valley smelled of smoke and burnt metal. The night sky glowed faint red from the fire of destroyed ships. Bodies of soldiers lay scattered, silent now. The battle had ended, but the ground still shook from the memory of violence. The human stood in the middle of the field, his chest rising heavy. His cloak was torn, his arm bleeding, but his grip on the weapon was firm. Beside him, Lyra stood on shaky legs, her face pale, her rod still clutched in trembling hands. She had fought, she had survived. Her breath caught when she looked at him. His side was bleeding, the fabric soaked dark. She dropped the rod and rushed forward. "You're hurt," she whispered, panic rushing through her chest. He waved her worry aside. "It's nothing," he muttered, but his steps faltered as he lowered himself to the ground, his shoulders heavy with exhaustion. Lyra knelt beside him, her small hands pressing against his wound.
You saved me again, she said, her voice breaking. Why risk everything for me? I am nothing.
His eyes snapped to hers, burning like fire. "Never say that again," he growled softly. His voice was not cruel, but it carried weight that silenced her. He looked away, his jaw tight. His silence dragged long until finally he spoke. "I had had a family once," he said, his voice rough. "A wife and a child on the way." Lyra froze. Her heart pounded at his words. His eyes were distant, as if looking at ghosts. "I was a soldier then. I was leaving them behind. I thought there would be time. I thought that I could protect them by fighting far from home." His voice cracked. He clenched his fists. "But when the war reached them, I was not there." Lyra's throat tightened. She whispered, "What happened?" His jaw trembled. His voice was low, broken. "I came back to ruins. My wife was gone. My child never born. All I found was silence." Lyra covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes. The weight of his words crushed her chest. She had known pain. She had known cruelty. But his pain was of another kind, a loss that never healed. He looked at her then, his eyes raw. "When I saw you in that cage, when I saw the way they mocked you, I remembered her. I remembered what I lost. I swore to myself I will not fail again. Not this time." Her tears spilled. She shook her head. "But I'm not her. I am broken. I can never replace your family." He reached out with his blood-stained hand, placing it gently against her cheek. "You don't have to replace anyone," he whispered. "You are yourself, and that is enough. You are alive, and I will fight to keep it that way." Her heart ached with warmth and sorrow. For the first time, she saw the truth in his eyes. He was not saving her because she was strong or useful. He was saving her because he refused to let another soul die the way his family had. She pressed her forehead against his shoulder, her voice trembling. "Then let me protect you too. Let me stand with you." His lips curved into a faint smile, worn but real. "Good," he whispered, "because I cannot do this alone." The night grew quiet again. Only the crackling of fires filled the valley. But Lyra's mind was storming. His words haunted her. "Worthless things are not hunted," he had said. That meant there was something inside her, something the aliens wanted, something she didn't understand. Her hands shook. "Why do they want me?" she asked softly. "Why would soldiers risk their lives for someone broken?" He looked at her for a long time. His eyes darkened with a shadow. "There are things you do not know, Lyra. Secrets they keep hidden. You were never meant to hear them." Her breath caught. Her voice trembled. He hesitated as if weighing his words. Then he said slowly, "You think you were born broken, but what if you were not? What if someone made you this way?" Her heart stopped. Her silver legs trembled. "Made me," she whispered. He nodded, his face grim. "Experiments, cruel designs. They shape the weak to be discarded, to hide the truth of what they really are." He leaned closer, his voice firm. "You are not worthless, Lyra. You are dangerous to them because inside you is something they fear." Her mind spun, her memories clashed chains, cages, voices calling her useless. All her life she had believed she was broken by nature, but what if it was all a lie? Her voice cracked. "What am I?" His eyes softened. "Someone worth saving." She shook her head. "It's not an answer." He sighed, looking at the sky where enemy ships still burned like falling stars.
It is all I can give now, but soon you will know. And when you do, the galaxy itself will change.
Lyra's heart pounded. Fear and hope mixed like fire in her chest. She had asked why he saved her, and now she knew he was not only protecting her, he was protecting something greater, something hidden within her. She pressed her hands tighter against his wound, whispering, "Then I will not let you die. You gave me legs, you gave me a name, now let me give you a reason to keep fighting." His eyes met hers, tired but burning. "You already have," he said quietly. The night wind carried their words into the darkness. Beyond the hills, another shadow stirred, larger than before, ships far greater than the first descended. The battle was not over, it was only beginning. The valley was quiet again, but the quiet was not peace. It was the heavy silence before. Another storm, above the hills, more shadows moved in the sky, larger ships preparing to descend. The battle had ended, but war had not. Inside the shelter, Lyra sat beside him, her hands still pressed against his wound. Her new legs glowed faint blue under the dim lights. She stared at him, her chest tight with fear and hope. He had told her his secret, his pain, the family he had lost. But her own secret remained locked, unanswered. Her voice was soft, trembling. "You said they made me broken. You said I was more than I know." Her eyes filled with tears. "Then tell me, what am I?" He met her gaze, his face pale from blood loss, but his eyes still sharp. "You are not broken, Lyra. You were shaped to believe that, but inside you is strength greater than they can control." She shook her head, fear rising, strength. "I don't feel strong. I only feel alive because of you." He placed a weak hand over hers, his voice low. "That is enough. Alive means hope, and hope is what they fear." Her heart raced. She wanted to believe, but doubt whispered still. As she looked at him broken, bleeding, yet unyielding, she knew his words carried truth. Hours passed. The fires outside dimmed, and the night grew colder. She wrapped his cloak around him, refusing to sleep, refusing to let him slip away. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Don't leave me." His lips curved faintly. "Won't. Not as long as you need me." She pressed her forehead against his chest, and for the first time since she could remember, she felt safe. Her body relaxed, her eyes closed, and in that fragile moment something shifted deep inside her, a warmth that spread through her. Days passed slowly, his wound healed with her constant care. Her legs grew stronger, and she learned to walk with more balance. She even learned to run across the field, laughter escaping her lips. He watched silently, his face unreadable, but his heart swelling with quiet pride. But one morning, as the sun rose, Lyra clutched her stomach, her breath caught, her eyes widened. She sat down quickly, trembling. The warmth inside her was no longer faint. It was alive, moving. She gasped, pressing her hands against herself. "No, this can't be." The human rushed to her side, worry flashing across his face. "What is it?" Her voice broke. I feel something inside me." Tears filled her eyes, I think. I think I carry life." He froze. His chest tightened. His mind spun. It was impossible. They had told her she could never be breeding stock, never carry children. She had believed it too, but his eyes locked on her trembling form, and hope broke through disbelief. "You're pregnant," he whispered, his voice cracked with shock and awe. Lyra sobbed, covering her face. "But how? They said I was useless. They said I was nothing." He lifted her chin gently, his eyes burning with fierce light. "They lied. They feared this. They knew the truth. You were never barren, never worthless. They only wanted you to believe it." Her tears streamed down. She whispered, "Then this child." He nodded. "This child is proof they cannot deny. A miracle."